Have you ever really stopped to think about just how much information on a company or, even a person is just out there in the open? The thing is, long before anyone ever thinks about hacking anything, a really deep investigation has usually already happened. So that brings us to the most important question. It all kicks off with this foundational first step called footprinting. You can think of it as the reconnaissance phase for a digital detective. The whole mission is to gather as much public intelligence as possible to really understand a target from the outside in. Now, let's be super clear here. Footprinting is not about breaking down digital doors. Not at all. It's about methodically piecing together a giant puzzle using clues that are already publicly available. We're talking details about employees, the tech they're using, their network setup, anything and everything that builds a complete picture of their security landscape. And investigators, well, they have two main ways of going about this. Passive footprinting is kind of like being a spy with a good pair of binoculars. You're watching from a distance, using public sources, and trying your best not to let anyone know you're there. Active footprinting, on the other hand, is when you start rattling the doorknobs. You're probing networks, maybe sending some test emails. Sure, you get much more specific data, but you also risk setting off all the alarms. You leave your own tracks. So where does a digital investigation like this even start? Well, usually, it begins with the most powerful tool on the planet, one we all use every single day, a search engine. But probably not in the way you're used to using it.
This technique is often called Google hacking. And no, it's not about hacking Google itself, don't worry. It's about using its own advanced search commands to become a superpowered digital detective. For instance, this simple little command tells Google to search a specific company's website for any page that has the word password right there in the title.
And what's crazy is just how effective this can be. A search like that could easily turn up forgotten login pages, or even worse, configuration files that were accidentally left exposed to the entire internet. It's amazing what you can find with just one clever search. Let's try another one. This command is a little different. It hunts for a specific type of file. In this case, we're looking for PDFs inside the target's website. It's basically like asking Google, hey, can you show me all of this company's public paperwork?
And this is a perfect example of how organizations leave behind what we call digital breadcrumbs. You could find internal network diagrams, sensitive project plans, or even entire employee lists, all just sitting there in public PDFs, waiting for anyone to download them.
But the hunt doesn't just stop with web pages and documents. Oh no. Let's talk about share². Think of it as a search engine, but for the Internet of Things. It doesn't find websites, it finds devices that are connected to the internet. We're talking webcams, routers, printers, servers, even massive industrial control systems. So you see a big number like this. What does that even mean? Well, on a tool like share², that could easily be the number of publicly exposed, unsecured webcams it found in just one major city. It's a pretty stark reminder of how huge and how visible our world of connected devices really is. Okay, so we've found a target's public files, we've even found their internet-connected devices, but technology is really only half the story. What about the human element? Who are the people behind all of this?
This is where the investigation really pivots. We're shifting away from the tech and onto the people. Because at the end of the day, an organization is made of individuals, and those individuals also leave a massive digital footprint.
And you better believe there are tools for this part of the job. The harvester, for example, can scrape a company's domain for employee names and email addresses. LinkedIn, of course, is a goldmine for figuring out who does what and what the company structure looks like. And then there's a tool like share², which is just fascinating. You give it a single username, and it will go check hundreds of social media sites to map out that person's entire online life. And beyond the people, there's the official paperwork. Every single domain name has a public registration file called a Whois record. It's basically the digital property deed for a website. Now, while some details can be hidden with privacy services, it often tells you who owns the domain, when they registered it, and most importantly, which name servers they use to run their operations.
So we've got a handle on the people and the ownership. But where does this organization actually live on the internet? What does its digital neighborhood look like?
All right, now the investigation starts to get a bit more technical. The goal here is to literally map out the target's network infrastructure, to figure out what servers they're using and the exact digital paths that lead right to their front door.
This whole process starts with DNS, which is really just the internet's giant phone book. By looking up at targets' DNS records, an investigator can learn so much.
The A record points directly to their web server's address. The MX record tells you which servers are handling all their email. It's a fundamental step in understanding their entire digital backbone.
Once you have an address from that phone book, you can actually trace the route to get there. A tool called tracer_route lets you follow the exact digital path your data takes to reach a server. It shows you every single hop, every router and network it passes through along the way, helping you build this incredibly detailed picture of their network.
But you can probably imagine, right? Collecting all of these clues manually, from Google searches to DNS lookups to trace routes, it's just incredibly slow and time-consuming. So how do the professionals automate the hunt?
This is where the real power comes into play. Investigators use these advanced toolkits that bring all of these separate techniques together. They automate the process of discovery, and more importantly, they connect all the dots.
One of the most powerful tools in this space is called Maltego. It is designed to do one thing incredibly well: take all those scattered pieces of public information we've been finding and visualize the relationships between them. It literally turns a long list of boring data into a clear, interconnected map of intelligence. And the process itself is so simple but so effective. You start with just one piece of information you already know, like a company's website. Then you run what are called transforms, which automatically blast out queries to dozens of public sources looking for related emails, IP addresses, social media profiles, you name it. And the result is this amazing visual graph that lets you see connections you would never spot otherwise. So, after that whirlwind tour of the Digital Detectives Toolkit, what does this all really mean? Let's try to bring it all home. So, what's the bottom line here? First, a truly staggering amount of information about anyone or any organization is just publicly available for the taking. Second, that distinction between passive, stealthy gathering and active, risky probing is absolutely critical. Third, these powerful tools can automatically connect all those little digital breadcrumbs. And most importantly, understanding your own digital footprint is the absolute first step to securing it. And all of that leaves us with one final and pretty important question to think about. If someone were to run these same techniques on you, or on your organization, what would they find?